Welcome to the program agenda. I'm Cito Beltran, and we will be bringing to you the latest news, topics of interest. Today is November 3, 2020. It's a Tuesday, and we will continue also to monitor the impact of the latest Typhoon Rolly, on the Bicol region. We will also be bringing in an expert concerning the U.S. elections and its impact on the country and the region and the world, for that matter, because the U.S. election is basically happening, and it's I guess it's all over except for the counting. So we will soon find out when or when it's all over and done, who's going to be the president of the United States. And we will also speak with someone regarding our relationships with the United States. For that matter, we will first be interviewing Governor Chiz Escudero, governor of the province of Sorsogon, because they are also one of the affected provinces by Typhoon Rolly. And then we will shift to Professor Renato De Castro, International Studies Department of De La Salle University, regarding the U.S. elections, the outcome of the U.S. elections, and what it may bring to the Philippines. And last but not the least, Congressman Ruffy Biazon of Muntinlupa, regarding the visiting forces agreement. Are we agreeing on anything with America, or do we choose to disagree? Do we agree to disagree? Sabi nga nila, well, that's also dependent on the president, but also on the Congress, the Senate, for that matter, because it is a treaty of sorts, so it requires the disapproval of the Philippine Congress, the Senate. Okay, in any case, let's go into the front page of the Philippine Star. There you go. The good news, starting on the header, is the Department of Health reports 25% decline in daily COVID cases. And that picture there, the upper portion of that front page photo is of Mayon volcano and foothills of Mayon volcano. And ayun po, nakikita ninyo yung very gray area. That's actually lahar, rocks, a lot of debris that washed down from the foothills. And nagiging issue po yan because the residents, many of whom their houses were buried, na tabunan po yung mga bahay. Yan, makikita nyo naman, nag-iba na kulay nung lupa dun sa kinalalagyan nila. Sentrong-sentro eh. Kung nasaan pa yung tao, dun pa pumunta yung mga bato. No? In any case, you can see there from that photo there, the allegations is a lot of that debris, or those rocks that slid down the mountain, were essentially caused by quarrying in the area. And of course, the headline of the Philippine Star is Typhoon Rolly leaves 17 dead, 13 missing. And then President Rodi Duterte visited the Albay town. Okay, kasama yung kanyang trustee. Ewan ko, I don't know what to call him. He is an elected senator, but he seems to spend more time with the president nowadays. In any case, the bottom part is another photograph of the impact of Typhoon Rolly. That one is in Batangas City, where floods and flash floods, rain, caused many places, this particular vehicle to be washed away. And of course, there is this story, disaster department, question mark. Senators want careful study. And bottom part is Secretary Galvez, Carlito Galvez Jr. is formally confirmed as the vaccine czar. So he is the implementer for COVID-19 programs, and now he is also the vaccine czar. And last but not the least, on the left bottom side of the Philippine star, you have that photo of Trump and Biden doing their last hurrah in the presidential campaign, and a woman walking in front of Saks Fifth Avenue store in New York. Landmark po yan. Kumbaga, dito parang ano yan, yung mga high-end rustans, etc. Doon po sa New York, yun, pinlywood na, binakura na ng plywood because they are worried about civil unrest after the elections. In any case, let's take a look at the stories behind the front page. Here we go. After being out of the public eye during the height of Cyclone Rolly over the weekend, President Rodrigo Duterte flew out of Davao City to visit Albay. The president went for an aerial inspection of some of the places hit by Rolly, the strongest typhoon of 2020 to date. Hindi pa tapos yung 2020. Duterte also lashed out at those who criticized his absence at the first high-level meeting on the then super typhoon, even asking, "Do you want me to stand doon sa white sand ni Roy Simato just to show that I am here?" In a related news, senators are not keen on proposals to create a new department or new departments in government. Senate President Tito Soto said pending bills seeking to create new agencies may have to wait until they pass the right sizing bill, which seeks to create more efficient government. Some senators, including Ping Lacson and Senate Minority Leader Franklin Drilon, are wary of bureaucracy that may be created with another department. This comes after Senator Bongo renews his call for the establishment of to establish a Department of Disaster Resilience. Alam niyo po, yung Department of Disaster Resilience, Department of OFW, it is as if we need to create departments for big headaches. I think what we should be doing, or what the government should be doing, and our national leaders and Congress, both lower and upper house, should be doing, is investigating. Bakit nga ba kailangan pang magtayo ng department at bakit hindi ma-address? Why is it that the national government, the bureaucracy, can't address the needs of each and every sector? Kasi OFW pa lang pinag-uusapan ninyo, tapos Department of Disaster. Wala pa dyan itong problema ng mga fisher folk na lagi nating nire-relocate, mga farmers na lagi nating ini-evacuate, etc. So, ano yan? Sasama ninyo yan sa Department of Disaster. Anyway, I have other stuff to read, so hindi ko muna bababaran yan. Pag medyo maluwag-luwag tayo sa oras, bakbakan natin yan. Because, it seems creating bureaucracy is the only answer that they can come up with under the current administration. And finally, the Health Department reports a downtrend in the prevalence of COVID-19 cases in the country, dropping by as much as 25%. Bravo! DOH Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere said that the national daily average of COVID cases is now down to over 1,800 cases in the past 2 weeks. A month ago, the average was over 2,500. So, will we move to modify GCQ? Not so fast, because according to Vergere, number of cases is only one of many factors in deciding on quarantine protocols. Okay, ma-point out ko lang po dito, no? 2005 down to 1,008. Parang 25% ba yun? Parang hindi. No? Sorry. Mahina ako. Math 11, take 7 ako. Inaamin ko yan. Pero parang 2005 to 2008, hindi po 25% reduction yun. But nonetheless, I have something to share later when we have a little more time during the program. Something that is very important. Hint, we have COVID in the family. I will explain later. I'll tell you already para hindi na kayo mabitin. I just received word at 5 o'clock this morning that my daughter Hannah, who is studying in Holland, tested positive for COVID-19. It is doubly difficult because she's alone there and we are out here in the Philippines. So it's an emotional hurdle for all of us, but she is asymptomatic, thank God, and we are monitoring her. But I want to talk about that because our daughter is really on the ball, on guard, very observant of health protocols. Pero sabi nga nila, sa sobrang daming haka-haka tungkol dito sa COVID-19, I really wonder if our scientists are sure of how you get it aside from the sabi nilang droplets and transmission. Kasi pati nga yung nasa ICU, yung naka-full PPE na, nadadali pa. So I think we should all be careful, and I ask for your prayers for our daughter Hannah, for her quick recovery, and kung pwede sana kumbaga parang dumaan lang. And for all the other people who are infected or affected by COVID-19. In any case, hindi lang po yan ang problema sa mundo. Marami rin tayong mga kababayan who are struggling right now, not with COVID, but with the impact of natural disasters. Let's go to a longtime friend and now the governor of the province of Sorsogon, also former senator, and I think congressman din itong kaibigan natin to, Governor Chiz Escudero. Senyor, good morning, sir.
Cito, magandang umaga sa iyo, sa lahat ng ating televiewers at listeners. Magandang umaga din po. Pagbati mula sa aming lalawigan.
Okay, kamusta naman kayo dyan, Governor Escudero? Alam ko, nahagip kayo bahagya o kayo ba direkta? Kasi sa laki nitong buwisit na Typhoon Rolly na ito, hindi ko na malaman kung sino na nadali at sino hindi.
Ang footprint, Cito, ng bagyong ito umabot ng 400 kilometers. Kaya maraming probinsya talaga nahagip. Subalit sa lalawigan ng Sorsogon, bagaman malakas yung hangin kumpara sa mga nagdaang bagyong naranasan ko nitong nagdaang siguro 10 taon. Siguro pinagpala lang kami na medyo, sabi nga ng matatanda, mataas yung hangin ng bagyo sa parting ito ng Pilipinas.
Mhm.
Humigit kumulang bilang pagtugon lang sa marapat kong sabihing nangyari. Sa 60,000 ang aming inilikas, we evacuated forcibly 60,000 people, equivalent to about 16,000 families. We have 0 casualty. The typhoon hit us from 4 a.m. up to 9 a.m. with strong winds and rains. But by lunchtime, we were able to clear all national and provincial roads and proceeded to start clearing barangay roads. By 5 p.m., all of our failed electric posts were restored already. Although wala pa kaming kuryente, Sito, dahil yung mga tore ng NGCP ang tila nasira sa parteng Albay at Camsur.
Okay, what would be the impact of that? Kasi klaro na na-manage mo yung probinsya kasama ng mga tiga Sorsogon. You guys are doing a great job. But what would be the economic or social impact if you don't have electricity? Because there are some provinces I heard are not going to have power for about a month. I don't know if that's true, Governor.
Ganon yung nangyari sa amin nung tinamahan kami ng bagyong Tisoy na nagawa namin ng paraan sa pamamagitan ng pagkonekta sa Bacman Geothermal Power Plant na nandito mismo sa lalawigan ng Sorsogon. So ginawaan lamang ng paraan ng NGCP na magkonekta diretso na. Imbis na nagko-connect pa kami sa power plant sa Batangas o kung saan man. So isang solusyon din yan para sa Albay. Pwede silang kumonekta sa Bacman Geothermal Power Plant o sa Tiwi Macban Plant. para rektang makakuha ng kuryente habang nire-repair nila yung mga damaged na towers ng NGCP. Balita ko, at least 2 malalaking tower yung tumumba ng NGCP sa parteng Albay at Camarines Sur.
But how long do you expect to be without power?
Hopefully, we can resolve it within the week. Again, Cito, by connecting directly to the Bacon Geothermal Power
Yeah.
Plant. It's an issue of who will pay the replacement power at kung pasok sa kontrata yon ng mga electric cooperatives namin dahil hindi naman generating company provider namin yung Bacon Geothermal Power Plant.
Now, you were a former senator. If I remember correctly, you were also a congressman. Matanong ko lang kasi I remember last week there was a small story regarding all of these geothermal assets or natural assets of the Philippines. Parang gusto yatang payagan ng isang government agency na pati yung mga foreigners can have foreign companies, I mean, can have access to it at pinalagan nito ng ilang nationalistic congressmen saying na teka, those are natural resources, the Constitution prohibits it. What is your quick take on this, Governor?
It is prohibited by the Constitution, Cito, but without amending the Constitution, there is a way that has been used around it, which is to enter into a financial agreement with the foreign entity and still leave it to Filipino hands to actually own and operate the company. It's similar to a financial agreement, given the fact that not too many Filipinos have the financial capacity to actually explore and exploit geothermal resources. It's quite expensive. I think it's about 3 to 4 million pesos per kilowatt, per megawatt, compared to let's say coal, which is at $2 million. Cito, dollars, which is at $2 million per megawatt. So parang sa mining companies, Cito, meron silang financial agreements na pinapasukan. So Pilipino pa din daw, but technically it's legal because all the shares are in the name of and owned by a Filipino.
Okay, clearly by experience, sabi mo nga, Typhoon Tisoy, the geothermal plant saved or helped Sorsogon, and it can once again help Sorsogon and Albay if we tap into that. What is the state of those geothermal plants? Do we actually appreciate them? Do we invest in them? Or para bang napapabayaan na yan o isinasangtabi lang?
As far as I know, Cito, Bacon Manito Geothermal Power Plant is owned by the Lopez Group. Tiwi is co-owned by the Aboitiz Group. I have no reports yet with respect to the status or damage of the Tiwi Geothermal Power Plant, but the one here in Sorsogon, Bacman, already reported minimal damages except for some fallen trees, but no minimal, if at all, damages with respect to their facilities of the geothermal power plant itself. The only concern and problem sometimes, Cito, is sometimes geothermal is more expensive than coal. It's more expensive than hydro. So it depends with respect to the competitive public bidding of electric cooperatives who gets to win the contract to supply power to a particular area, including Sorsogon.
Okay, going back to the province of Sorsogon and your concerns, what is the situation now as far as your residents? Na umalis na ba ng evacuation center yung mga tao, and what are your challenges right now, especially in this time of COVID-19?
About 99% Cito already went back to their respective homes para magkumpuni kung may mga natanggal man na konting nipa o yero sa bubong. At yung mga naiwan na lamang ay yung nasiraan totally ng bahay, and we counted less than 10 dahil nahulugan ng mga puno yung kanilang mga bahay. During the evacuation procedure, we segregated, provided social distancing, not individually but by family, in order to accommodate the number of people we evacuated utilizing classrooms and evacuation centers. Magkakasama din lang naman sila sa bahay, and pinagsama-sama namin sila imbis na mag-social distancing sa kada individual na hindi talaga kakayanin kung yun ang gagawin namin. But that is in accord still with the health protocols issued by the IATF and the DOH.
Okay, would it be safe to say na minor lang ang damage or pananalasa ng Typhoon Rolly, given what you said earlier na medyo mataas ang hangin, hindi kayo nasagasaan, so to speak, maliit lang ang gastusin or disgrasya?
I'd rather use the word manageable instead of minor, Sito, dahil malakas talaga yung bagyo eh. And we are
Uh-huh.
yet to actually get the damage, especially on agriculture, of the typhoon. But manageable in the sense that we were able to clear all roads, make all roads passable, restore all power lines, waiting for the grid to actually supply us power. And we had enough money to provide for food and relief packs to those who were evacuated. Right now, Sito, what we're doing is providing food for work or cash for work in order for the communities to clean their respective barangays and sitios. Mahirap kasi bumangon mula sa isang bagyo kung nakikita mo na napakarami pang dumi at kalat sa paligid mo.
Okay, now what would be your directions after this typhoon? After, alam mo, Gob, medyo ako talaga gusto ko na isipin 2021 na eh. Kasi talagang sawan-sawa na ako dito. Pati yung anak ko nagka-COVID-19. So medyo it's, really frustrating. But what are your plans for Sorsogon moving towards 2021? Parang kasi everyone is trying to find hope or something to look forward to.
Sito, we were supposed to host Palarong Pambansa in 2022, but given COVID, it was moved tentatively to 2024. But I think one of the cities or provinces that was going to host previous to us backed out. So we might be moving back to 2023 instead of 2024 and no longer 2022. That is something for our province to look forward to because it will symbolize somewhat of the reopening of our doors in time for hopefully the vaccine to be invented for COVID and for everyone to be able to actually go out once again and live quote unquote normally or under the new normal. Add to that the fact that according to Pag-asa, about 2 to 4 typhoons are still bound to hit the Philippines, and we're preparing for that too.
Okay, now as far as agriculture, economic development, also but incidentally, kasi pasensya ka na, Go, Babi, I think I've only
Yeah.
been to your province once or twice and nalimitahan kami dun sa lugar ng host namin. Pero hindi ko masyadong kabisado yung Sorsogon are there tourist destinations there that can be developed, etc.?
That's what we're doing now, Sito, during this pandemic when everything is shut down. We're trying to make the most out of our time so that once the world reopens, once the Philippines and Sorsogon reopens, we would be ready, able, and willing. Yes, there are, Sito. The Butandings were originally found here before they did what they did in Cebu. It's in Donsol, Sorsogon. We have a beautiful lake called Bulusan Lake. We have marvelous and magnificent beaches. In fact, we have one beach that has pink sand. It's called Subic Beach. Not to mention several beaches, white sand, black sand, gray sand, in the various municipalities, given that out of the 14 towns in one city of Sorsogon, only one town, the town of Irosin, is landlocked. But it hosts one of the oldest municipal buildings, and adjacent to that in Barcelona, one of the oldest churches, which was recently restored by the National Historical Commission. It's about 146 years old, and it looks pristine and restored, not renovated, as you would usually see with respect to old structures.
Yeah, what about influx of tourists? Kasi yes, yung Donsol is mabuti na banggit mo yung Donsol because that is really one of the favorite places. The only place na medyo na-excite yung asawa ko. Nagtaka nga ako, tumatalon pa ng bangka. Sabi ko, hindi ka na bata. In any case, but is it open? Is Sorsogon open to tourists, accessible, o meron bang mga bubbles, etc.?
We never closed down, Sito. In fact, nagsundo kami ng humigit kumulang 3,000 kababayan namin na hindi nabigyan ng anumang tulong, SAP o reliefs na nagtatrabaho sa Manila o Quezon City or sa NCR dahil wala naman sila sa database ng voters at residents doon.
Correct.
Hindi sarado ang Sorsogon at hindi nagsara ang Sorsogon. Subalit, maliban na lang kung apor yung tao or exempted individual, kailangan nilang dumaan lang sa quarantine protocols ng probinsya depending on their categorization, whether it's home quarantine, home isolation, or facility quarantine. May proseso lang na pagdadaanan. Pero never namin sinara ang lalawigan ng Sorsogon sa turista, sa mga umuwing residente, o sino mang nagnanais pumunta rito. May proseso nga lang silang kailangan masundan at sundan.
So, paano yung process na yun, Gob? Before you arrive or when you arrive, pwede ka nang magpa-triage, magpa-test, etc. Paano ba?
let's say, Sito, kung pupunta ka sa amin, kung may PCR ka, or antigen at least, at walang break sa chain of custody mula na nagpa-PCR ka. Ibig sabihin, mula na nagpa-PCR o antigen ka, hindi ka nagpunta sa mall o kung saan-saan pa, walang break sa chain of custody, dumiretso ka papunta rito, you can enter the province without undergoing any of the quarantine protocols or isolation protocols that we have. Kung wala, at tipong naglakad ka, nakisakay ka, nakiangkas ka, at dumating ka rito, dadaan ka sa quarantine protocols, which basically means, kung asymptomatic ka, pero isolation ka muna. Kung may symptoms ka, kung mild, pwede pa rin yung home quarantine. Kung medyo moderate to severe, we have to take you in one of our facilities and monitor you for the next 8 days before we can do the RT-PCR on the person, because that's the guidance of DOH. So may hintay lang ng konti bago sila makalabas sa facility. Depende sa kanilang kondisyon, depende sa kanilang kalusugan, at depende rin kung saan sila nanggaling.
Alam mo, Gob, matagal na tayong magkaibigan. So, you know da hindi kita bubulahin. Pero may napansin lang ako, napakakalma mo. You know, you are so matter of fact about this situation compared to some other officials na medyo, hindi, kailangan ganito, ganyan. Yung parang very freaked out. Where is this coming from? Are you so confident that Sorsogon has a system in place na hindi kayo worried about COVID cases, spikes, etc.? Kasi yung iba parang mamatay na ako, mamatay, pero ayokong tumaas ang spike dito sa teritoryo ko. Parang ganun.
We are, Sito. We have the highest so far the ever recorded number of active cases, which is at 77. Pinakamataas yun, at tumaas lamang yan itong mga nagdaang linggo. Hindi rason para magpanik para sa lalong-lalo na para sa mga leader ng lalawigan. Pero kaya pinapaalalahanan namin palagi yung mga tao. Hindi ako takot na nag-77 kami. Ang tingin ko doon, pagkakataon para paalalahanan ng mga tao, hindi para matakot sila, paalalahanan sila na nandito pa rin ang COVID, kailangan pa rin mag-mask, kailangan pa rin mag-social distancing, may mga bawal pa rin lumabas dahil medyo nagre-relax ito pag tumatagal yung panahon. Ika nga parang ningas ko gun eh. So para sa akin, hindi dapat katakutan yan. Dapat pagmulan ng rason para muling maalala ang mga dapat ginagawa at gawin dahil nasa paligid pa rin natin ang COVID-19. Kagabi lamang nagpulong kami ng aming mga health officials para mag-isip at maghanapan ng mga paraan kung paano matugunan ang problemang ito. Dahil hindi may kakilas ito, ang haba na nito mula Marso, matagal-tagal na rin, ubos na ang pondo ng mga local government units. Bigyan na lamang namin kayo ng halimbawa. Ang average na nasa quarantine facility namin ngayon ay 2,000 tao. Nung kasagsagan, umabot ng 5,000 tao yan na pinapakain sa loob ng 14 na araw. Average na gastos na lang na 100 piso. Sa 2,000, 200,000 piso yon. Sa 5,000, 500,000 piso yon kada araw. Karamihan ng pondo ng mga LGUs, lalo na yung mga tinamaan ng bagyo ngayon, marahil o malamang ubos na po ang kanilang calamity at saka QRF funds na inauthorize ng DILG at DBM na magamit laban sa COVID. Nagpigil ako bilang gobernador na i-release o gamitin yung mga pondong yon. Dahil sa paniniwala at tingin ko, karamihan sa aming mga kababayan ay apor or magsasaka, mangingisda. Tinuring ko silang manufacturing, which IATF later on considered too. So hindi naman talaga nawala ng hanap buhay. So inalalayan lang namin yung mga nagtatrabaho sa restaurant, sa resorts, yung mga parlor, yung mga barberia, yung driver ng jeep, ng tricycle. Nilimitahan namin doon at nilimitahan din namin sa parte ng probinsya ng sustainable na mga programa tulad ng murang bilihin at hindi bigay. Para tumagal at magtagal. At ngayong kalamidad na pumapasok na ngayong mga bagyo, kahit pa paano may pondo pa yung probinsya para matustusan yung aming mga pangailangan. Kaya sinabi ko, hindi minimal yung damage sa amin, manageable. At kung kulang ang pondo ng pamahalaan, marahil ay unahin na muna nila yung mas nangailangan. Sa parte namin, kakayanin muna namin ito para mas may malaki silang mabigay na tulong dun sa mga lalawigan na mas nasalanta kumpara sa amin.
Okay, kamusta naman ang buhay politika dyan sa Sorsogon? Kasi alam mo, historically, medyo nabansagan ng wild west yan nung kapanahunan ng mga tatay natin. Kumalma na ba dyan? Parang wala na kaming nadidinig ng mga alitan or issues of political concern.
Meron pa rin naman, Sito, pero laway lang. Palitan lang ng laway na nakakamatay ngayong panahon ng COVID, ika nga. Pero wala ng barilan, wala ng
Okay.
ambush, matagal nang walang gano'n. Siguro
Mhm.
may panawagan lang din ako, Sito, kung meron man sa national government. Bago ako umalis sa Senado, may pinasa akong probisyon sa budget na nagsasabing bibigyan natin ng coverage sa parametric insurance ang lahat ng probinsya at syudad sa Eastern Seaboard na madalas tinatamaan ng bagyo. Ang ibig
Mhm.
sabihin ng parametric insurance, covered ito ng insurance kung sakasakaling tatamaan ng matinding bagyo. At ang pagkakaiba ay hindi na kailangan inspeksyonin pa yung damage, nakabase yung payout ng insurance sa lakas ng bagyo. Binuo namin ang planong ito matapos ang Typhoon Yolanda sa Tacloban kung saan nakita
Hmm.
namin inabot ng 3-5 taon hindi pa rin tapos mag-estimate yung adjusters ng damage. Dahilan para hindi makabayad ang GSIS noon kung sakasakaling in-insure ng LGU yung kanilang asset. Itong parametric insurance, naglaan kami ng 2 bilyon na ang maximum payout ay pwedeng umabot hanggang 10 bilyon depende sa lakas ng typhoon. At yung
Mhm.
mga tinamaan ng signal number 4 at 5, maximum payout yon. Ibig sabihin, makakapagkubra tayo sa mga reinsure ng GSIS ng humigit kumulang 10 bilyong piso bilang panimula o baka sapat na ngayon para matulungan ang mga munisipyo, syudad, probinsya na tinamaan ng bagyo. Kanya nga lang dahil unang beses pa lang pinatupad yon noong 2019. Wala pa masyadong nakakaalam at nung tinamaan kami ng bagyong Tisoy noong December, sinubukan naming asikasuhin ito. Sito, migit kumulang, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, nung tinamaan kami ng bagyong Tisoy na umabot ng signal number 3, ang
Hmm.
payout dapat sa lalawigan ng Sorsogon at sa national government ay 830 million.
Hmm.
Hati yung provincial at saka yung national government. Subalit hanggang ngayon, hindi pa nababayaran yung damage na dulot ng bagyong Tisoy gamit ang parametric insurance dahil siguro naninibago din sila. Plus na COVID pa tayo. Ang kailangan mga ahensyang magkausap-usap para ma-fast track, ma-facilitate ito ay Bureau of Treasury,
Mhm.
DBM, DOF at OCD. Sa pagitan lamang nila, kaya na nilang pa-release yung pondo dahil yung pera sito nandyan na nung Marso pa yung proseso lang ng pag-release. Ngayong pagtama ng Kinta, ngayong pagtama ng Rolly,
Hmm.
magagamit din yan sana para sa mga lalawigang tatamaan. Kasi may nilagay kaming provision doon. Halimbawa, kung 2 billion ang premium para sa 10 billion na payout.
Hmm.
Kapag ka nagkabagyo at nag-payout, let's say 1 billion, retained ang 20% ng Bureau of Treasury para immediately ma-renew yung coverage ng insurance. Kaya nga
Okay.
humigit kumulang 800 million lamang ang makukuha namin dahil yung 200 million retained nila para i-renew at covered uli agad kami nung
Mhm.
parametric insurance. Ito yung
Mhm.
insurance ng GSIS pero hindi
Pero
po malulugi ang GSIS dahil reinsured to sa ibang insurance company sa abroad.
pero Gob, sino kasi kung sabi mo insurance ano, 'di kunyari ikaw o ako magpapa-insure, 'di siyempre may bago mag-payout, may contribution tayo o may bayad tayo. Are you saying that the provinces will pay a premium and in return makakakuha sila ng payout pag sila tinamaan?
Binayaran na po ng national government. Yun po yung ginawa kong programa sa budget ng 2019 bago ako umalis sa Senado ng 2019. Binayaran na po ng national government yung premium. At hiniling namin sa GSIS na ilako ito sa mga local government units para makadagdag sila sa payout kung sakasakali. But the
Mhm.
initial premium amounting to a maximum payout of 10 billion was already paid for by the national government through the budget that the Senate and the House approved in 2019.
So it's not an additional payout of the local government, the province, etc. It
No.
was part of the budget. But you're suggesting that local governments have a share and that they also pay part of their budget to the premium.
Or on top of what the national government insured it
Yeah.
for, they can pay
Mhm.
an additional premium in order to have additional coverage, Sito.
Okay, well, I guess that is more business-like, more professional kesa sa yung mananawagan po kami dito sa probinsya namin, walang-wala na po kaming pera kung pwede kaming padala ng ano, ng tulong ng national. Kasi parang gano'n yata nangyayari ngayon, Gob.
Nung tinamaan kami ng bagyong Tisoy, Sito, maraming nag-donate kasi nagulpi naman talaga kami nun
Hmm.
ng cash or ng food packs. Hiniling ko sa kanila kung pwede, maibigay ko yon gamit yung programa naming Food for Work or Cash for Work. Ayoko kasing manaig yung pakiramdam na walang dignidad yung aming mga kababayan o nanghihingi na lang, ika nga, the
Hmm.
culture of mendicancy,
Yeah.
which fed itself, meaning to say, habang nalilinis namin yung mga lugar namin, nagkakaroon din sila ng relief in the form of goods or cash. At ang ginawa naming kondisyon nun, hindi mo naman kailangan maglinis sa highway o sa national road. Basta may tinulungan kang kabarangay mo maliban sa sarili mong paggawa sa sarili mong bahay, counted na rin para sa amin yon na food for work at cash for work. At nang
Okay.
hindi parang maging pulubing na mamalimos yung aming mga kababayan ng panahon yon, nabigyan ng dignidad ano man ang natanggap o tinanggap nila ng mga panahon yon dahil may kapalit na pagtulong sa kanilang komunidad.
Okay, well, as much as you are doing a great job in Sorsogon, maganda yung pamamalakad mo, Gob, sana mabalik ka na ulit sa Senado because I think your services are required for a more national agenda. Dahil nako po, kailangan talaga natin yung mga nakakaintindi, both local and national. Thank you very much, Gob.
Sito, maraming salamat. Stay safe and I hope your daughter gets better way out there in Holland, if I remember correctly. Again, stay safe, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Governor Chiz Escudero of the province of Sorsogon. Ayun po, maganda naman yung feedback natin galing dyan sa Sorsogon. Siniswerte, alam nyo, ngayon lang natin masyadong hindi natin masyadong napipick up yan kuminsan. Pero yung bagyo nga pala, no, merong gapang sa lupa, meron naman yung lampas sa taas. And maswerte ang Sorsogon. They're quite fortunate that the Typhoon Rolly did not, creep close to the land or crawl close to the land, but flew past them. And so the damage was not as severe as expected. In any case, let's go for a quick break. And when we return, we move to our next discussion. Ito namang tungkol dyan sa US election. Kasi marami na ring nagtatanong, paano na ba yan kung si Trump ay ma-re-elect? Same old ba tayo? Paano kung si Joe Biden ang ma-re-elect? Paano ba yan? Bagong tango na naman. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Okay. Pasensya na po kayo. I was actually reading the recap or the update regarding the US elections. And according to what I'm reading here, the Biden leads the latest poll by 52%. Kung poll ang pag-uusapan, pero he's not guaranteed they win because back in 2016, Hillary Clinton was also the front runner, and then suddenly yung bang electoral college controversy parang biglang lumabas na panalo si Trump, and yun ang medyo, tapos ito namang Joe Biden and running mate Kamala Harris persuade Filipino-American voters in their campaign. They released a campaign of of Harry's speech that was translated into 8 languages including Tagalog. So, ayan po, no, medyo nagkakaalaman na dyan sa Amerika dahil parang dati, ano ka lang samahan ng TNT, baliwala ka. Pero ngayon, nililigawan na ang Filipino community kasi malaki na yung Philippine community doon sa Amerika. May sinabi na ang karamihan, may mga trabaho, maganda ang reputasyon. Pero itong si President Rodrigo Duterte, according to this update, said that Trump deserved to be re-elected, praising the U.S. President's reaction to his decision to end decades-old military agreement with the United States. Diba sabi nung sinabi ni Presidente Duterte, wala na yung mga BFA na yan, tama na yan. Sabi akala natin magwawala si Trump. Sabi ni Trump, thank you. Kumbaga hindi ko na po problemahin. Nagkusang loob na kayo. In any case, let's find out from a academic expert, actually, medyo kinakarir niya itong mga bagay na ito, kung ano yung, or what can be expected and who does he think is gonna come out. Wala pa po akong nababasa kasi sobra akong nakatutok doon sa anak ko sa Holland. Let's talk to Professor Renato De Castro, International Studies Department of De La Salle University. Prof, good morning.
Good morning, Cito. How are you? How are you doing?
Okay naman, medyo concerned lang kasi alam mo yung ating anak nakatira sa Holland, nag-aaral doon, tinamaan ng COVID. Yan na yung sinasabi ko kasi maraming, alam mo, doon medyo, parang, ewan ko dyan sa Lasal, kayo puro online, hindi ba?
Online kami nga.
Doon kasi sa Europe, medyo mayroong online, may physical, doon sa study group, doon siya tinamaan ng isang, hindi rin alam na may COVID din pala siya, so hawa-hawa sila, so we're monitoring. But anyway, let's go to the topic of the US election. Ewan ko, ano na bang nabasa mo, nadinig mo, kamusta na ba election doon? Tapos na ba o ano?
November 3, so that will be by tomorrow.
Okay,
so, mahirap din mag-predict kasi last year I was in the States.
Okay.
I was there during the election. I was based in Washington, D.C. Kausap ko yung mga analysts sa Rand Corporation. This was on the election day itself. Well, ang ano nila noon, it will be Hillary. Then of course, ang nangyari nga, of course, si President Trump ang nanalo. Again, mention it's because of the Electoral College. It's part of their system It's part of their system. Suddenly, nagkaroon ngayon.
Paki-explain ngayon, Professor, kasi dito sa Pilipinas, punta tayo sa presinto, boto tayo, bilangan ng 1 linggo, 2 linggo, 1 buwan, tapos may presidente na tayo. Doon may lamado, biglang laglag.
Hindi, kasi sa atin, we rely on what you call direct voting. Sa American system, it was designed by their constitution na may electoral college.
Okay.
So each state, meron silang mga electors. Depende yan, they have 2, kasi ayun yung Senate, plus of course, depending on the congressional districts. So if you have 250,000, automatically you have 1 elector. At before the election, yung Democrats, Republicans, they will already select yung electors. Ngayon sa bawat state, for example, ang malaki dyan, California, 55, majority yan Miski napakanaro ng majority, winner take all. So usually sa may tinatawag sila mga blue states, mga traditional Democrats yan. Tapos meron silang tinatawag mga red states, usually nasa south yan. Like Arkansas, I stayed in South Carolina for 5 years, talagang red state yan. Expected na yan. Usually ang labanan nangyayari sa mga tinatawag mong swing states.
Yung Florida.
Florida, Ohio, ang nangyari doon time ni President Donald Trump noong 2016 election, may mga blue states na nag-turn red. Naging tinatawag silang battleground states. Tatlo yan, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Traditional blue bulwarks yan, pero naglabasan yung mga tinatawag ng mga Hicks, yung mga tinatawag nila, if I sound racist, yung mga rednecks, yung mga nasa probinsya, bumoto. So yung mga 3 blue states naging red states. So doon nanalo si President Trump. It was everyone. I was in Washington D.C. during that time. everyone in DC was surprised. Kasi DC, traditional yan, blue. Although
Okay.
ang vote lang ng DC, although DC is not a state, meron yan 2 or 3 electoral votes. So,
Okay, so
nangyayari yan, yeah.
paano yung electoral system na yan?
So, pag natapos yung election sa bawat state, papadala nila yung mga electors.
Oh.
So, kung nanalo sabihin natin, nanalo sa Pennsylvania ngayon, no?
Oh.
Ang nanalo, hypothetically, Democrats, ang padadala nila yung mga electors na inelect ng Democratic Party. Then we also convene in Washington, D.C. Kailangan ng isang presidente dyan a majority vote of 270. 270. So, I was also with my family in the United States. I was still taking my graduate studies nung nanalo si George W. Bush. Very narrow yung lead niya. No? This was more controversial. Kasi almost tie. Ang labanan lang talaga Florida. Nanalo si George W. Bush by a mere 600 votes sa Florida. So nakuha niya yung buong electoral votes ng Florida. Nanalo siya. Talo si Gore. Although kay time ni Vice President Gore, kuha rin niya yung majority votes.
Hindi ko, kumbaga, kahit na popular ka,
Yes.
Al Gore was very popular, pero nasilat siya. But what does that mean? Is this a election by politicians in the end? Kumbaga, the public will vote, but in the end, the politicians decide?
No. It's designed ng mga founding fathers na it's part of their constitution. Kasi when they came out with their constitution after the revolution, una nag-start ang Amerika sa confederation Then eventually they decided that they should have a federal government. So nag-convene sila sa Philadelphia, tinatawag nilang founding fathers,
Yeah.
They have this disdain towards ordinary people. So kaya nga sa American system, meron yung House of Representatives representing the people, plus yung Senate. Yung Senate, dalawa lang yan. So that supposed to be the educated people should control the mob. Part yan yung electoral college. They could not rely on the voice of the ordinary people because they have until now, of course, may element ng elitism yung democracy nila. It's a democracy that should be run by people, of course, who have properties and, of course, who are educated. Maybe we should also take some lessons from the American system if we're tired of populist leaders.
Okay, so anyway, medyo, nako, magkakagulo niyan dito. Sigurado ko pag sinabi mong yung mga hindi nagbabayad ng buwis, bawal bumoto, yung walang permanent resident o
At walang degree. Walang college, walang degree, or high school.
Walang pinag-aralan. Hindi naman pinag-aralan, hindi nakapagtapos, ay hindi pwedeng bumoto. Nako po, magkaka-revolution dito sa Pilipinas.
Even yung itignan mo yung Athenian democracy nung panahon ni Pericles, may element palagi yan. Dapat may property ka at edukado ka bago ka magkaroon ng say. So hindi pwedeng ordinary That's an element of all.
Kasi the pangkaraniwan naman, I mean, generally, it is because whatever the politicians decide on, the legislators, the government, the first to be affected are those who pay taxes and those who have businesses and those who have property. So parang it is an insurance system or a balance. But in any case, going to this U.S. election, assuming that Joe Biden wins, what would be the outcome sa basa mo or sa pakiramdam mo? How would it impact the Philippines?
Well, eto tingnan muna natin yung situation with Donald Trump, Minention mo na of course, ang focus ko security. I'm not an economist,
Yeah.
Well, ang nangyari noon, let's go back to 2016 October, there was an impending breakdown kasi nagkasamaan nga ng loob si then President Barack Obama, then of course President Rodrigo Duterte when they met in Laos. So pagdating dito ni President Duterte, he wanted a total break from the United States because he felt he was insulted by Barack Obama when Barack Obama canceled yung one-on-one nila, I won't discuss the details.
Yeah.
But it was saved primarily because, number one, the Armed Forces of the Philippines said, no, we need the alliance. Then, of course, nangyari yung election. President Trump won the election. President Duterte gave him the benefit of the doubt. Then by December, he got a call from President Trump saying, I don't have any problems with your drug wars. You're a sovereign country. So at that time, President Trump was already signaling to President Duterte, I can work with you. Human rights issues, extrajudicial killings are none of my business. What is important is, of course, we maintain this alliance. Then early May, he received another call, in fact, inviting him to go to the White House. Then, of course, pumutok yung Malawi. Then the United States provided him all the assistance he needed to deal with those Islamic militants. Weapon system, yung mga weapons na binigay, reconnaissance plane, then even the training ng mga pilots natin na hindi mini-mention publicly. Kasi nagkaroon nga ng friendly fire noon, a number of our pilots were brought to the United States and were given training on how to conduct ground interdiction. So, so by when President Trump visited the Philippines in November 2017, they were best of buddies. So in fact, in terms of the alliance survived and to a certain degree thrived because the Trump administration exercised what I call strategic patience and understanding. And mentioned nga, when President Duterte declared that he wanted to abrogate the Visiting Force Agreement, President Trump even said, great, so we won't have any more problems. So, and even during the time of the pandemic, I don't know if you remember, you have a lot of assistance coming in.
I was kind of suspicious about that because Trump even called recently, di ba? 2 beses. Sabi ko, nangangampanya yata itong kanuto na ito. Parang...
Yes, in a way, yes. Plus, isang ano dyan, of course, the 1,000-pound elephant there is, of course, the U.S.-China strategic competition. So there's really a need, not only from President Trump, but from the bureaucracy, from the national security bureaucracy, State Department, Defense, the National Security Council, that they need the Philippines. So that's why we have this, I would say, a really an administration that really exercises the fullest strategic patience and strategic understanding to the Duterte administration. Now, of course, the big question is, will this continue?
Exactly. Assuming it does not continue, assuming that Joe Biden wins, what happens? What is your sensing of that possibility?
Well, I think there'll be a little change in a way that it will not, the warm personal relationship will not be there anymore. Remember, Joe Biden was the vice president of Barack Obama, who had, of course, a very nasty experience with our president when they met in Laos in September 2016. But of course, Joe Biden is a veteran politician. He's an establishment guy. And I'm betting probably 75 cents of my bottom dollar that he would listen to his advisors. That's important that we keep the Philippines on board. Don't rock the boat. Anyway, President Duterte has about a little more than a year to continue. Let's just criticize him privately, not publicly, like what Barack Obama did in September 2016, because we still value the Philippines as a strategic ally in the light of the U.S.-China strategic competition. This is my guess.
Yeah, but what has Biden been known for in terms of Asian partners, in terms of the reality in the Philippines? What has he been? I'm sure you're familiar with his history, and they tend to be consistent. And is he a military? I'm with the armed forces kind of guy. I am going to put my foot down regarding China, or kasi may mga nagsasabi sa akin na wag mong pansinin yung mga yan kasi at the end of the day, they are just there for what's in it for the United States, not necessarily for the Philippines.
That's it. I agree with that. Ang issue dito, yung mga actions nila. Also depending on our leaders, on how leaders would perceive their actions as opportunities and of course challenges. So ang crucial pa rin dito is how our leaders would look at some of their actions. Kasi of course their actions, like of course if you look at the United States, U.S. foreign policy is usually directed against other great powers. So
Mhm.
magiging focus ng United States, not the Philippines, not even ASEAN. It will be China, Japan. So titignan lang natin on how we could take advantage. Look at this as opportunity, of course, challenge. Going back to your question,
Yeah.
he's he's a member of the Foreign Relations Committee. He
Yeah.
had good relations with the late Senator McCain, and his approach is basically bipartisan.
Mhm.
And he had experience because he was the vice president of Barack Obama when the Obama administration announced in November 2011 that there'll be a shift to the what they call the strategic rebalancing to Asia. So in
Mhm.
fact, he was with Secretary Kerry when President Obama was not able to make it to the ASEAN summit in Indonesia.
Okay.
So it's familiar. I guess he's very much informed about the dynamics in Asia. And of course, every now and then he would visit. What differentiates him from, of course, Donald Trump and him is this guy is more of he's a multilateralist. So ito
Okay.
yung dapat nating medyo tignan, no?
Mhm.
Chances are he would revive the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is a
Yeah.
trading bloc. Hindi tayo
Yeah.
kasama dyan eh. Hindi tayo
Oh.
kasama. Pinatay ni Donald Trump yan. So magkakaroon tayo ng problema in terms of our export to those member states ng Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Can you
Japan,
can you be a little more specific about that? Kasi marami sa mga viewers natin I personally am not very clear about what that arrangement is.
trading bloc yan, no, na nag-start actually with Brunei, Singapore, and a number of Latin American countries.
Mm.
No, binuhay yan una ni George W. Bush around 2008. Of course, ang tingin nila China. We have to face China. Of course, during the strategic rebalancing to Asia ni Barack Obama in 2011, medyo na-criticize si Barack Obama na masyadong focus sa security. So sabi niya, let's have this economic bloc, no? The Trans-Pacific Partnership. Then eventually, Japan was invited, Australia was invited, South Korea were invited, and this became, of course, yung economic ace ni President Obama vis-a-vis China. President Aquino decided, no, I cannot join it because I don't want to amend the Constitution. So nangyari, no, sabi ni Donald Trump nung kampanya na, no, against Hillary, sabi niya, I will not join the Trans-Pacific Partnership. So 3 days after after his inauguration in January 2017, the first action that Donald Trump did was to declare the United States is withdrawing from the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Okay, so what do we lose or what do we gain?
We'll out of that. So lahat ng members nito, of course, Singapore, Japan, trading partners, even the United States, it would create what you call trade diversion. So tataas yung mga duties sa mga products natin in contrast sa mga duties ng members ng trading bloc na to. But I heard, no, even President Duterte has indicated that he is interested in joining the Trans-Pacific Partnership because this is also a way of balancing. So kung hindi tayo magiging member nito, then of course meron din yung China na I don't think will take off the gun, the RCEP. So we will be caught in the middle of another form of a trade war. So hindi na lang US-China, this will be between Trans-Pacific Partnership and of course, if China would, if this would take off the ground, yung tinatawag nilang RCEP. I forgot the name, no, yung Regional Economic Comprehensive. So we'll be caught in the middle of this trade war between these two trading blocs. Ayun yung nakikita ko.
Okay,
so it's a challenge for us on how we will have to deal with a revived Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Yeah, but that's all presuming that it's status quo, it's same old, same old. Pero hindi na same old eh. Giba na yung America because of COVID-19.
Resilient. It's a very resilient society.
No. I'm not saying that they're not gonna get up back on their feet. But what I'm saying is they have bigger problems to worry about domestically than the Trans-Pacific partners or Asia, etc. I'm given their headaches.
What's the best way to unite your country if your society is divided?
Mhm.
Look for an enemy outside.
Don't say that. Don't
It is
say
the
that,
case. It's
Renato.
the case. It's the case. Look at
Yeah.
American history. American society was divided just before December 7, 1941. You have one group there that wanted America first. You have another group, of course, led by President Theodore Roosevelt, that was, realistic enough to say that America would be pulled by the war. December 7, 1941. What happened? America was as united as ever. Going
Yeah,
back,
they didn't start that war.
yeah,
It
of
was the
course,
Japanese who brought the war to them.
circa 2001,
Okay. Oh.
American society was divided because of the controversial Florida vote. Remember that? We just discussed it.
Mm.
George W. Bush was being questioned. Half of the Americans were questioning why he's sitting in the White House. 9/11 happened. 9/11 happened 9 months after, of course, his inauguration. America was unified as ever.
Mm-hmm.
It happens in all society, hindi particularly sa America, even China right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, crisis in China, of course, COVID, then, of course, yung income inequality. What is basically the rallying point of President Xi Jinping? His last speech, he was talking about the Korean War. And he's talking about the possibility that China might use its military might against that country that China fought in the 1950s during the Korean War. So ayun yung dynamics eh. The more society is divided, chances are it would look for an external enemy to unite the people. This is what you call rally around the flag effect.
Okay. Well, you being the expert in this area, okay, I'll bet a cup of coffee if you're right or wrong.
I hope I'm wrong.
Who do you think
Honestly,
is
I
going?
hope.
No. Who do you think is going to come out as president?
I was in the States last time it happened, but I'm betting probably 50 cents of my bottom dollar to Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
Because the three swing states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, might become blue again. Ang chances lang ni President Trump, of course, is to win Florida. If he wins Florida, then he has a chance. Biden has a lot of options.
But there was I think the only good thing I saw out of this last U.S. elections is this campaign, I voted today. Kasi parang there was a resurgence and there was a realization that among Americans, regardless of their politics, that their vote mattered and their vote needed to be counted. And parang I'm saying this is a lesson. This is the only lesson from the U.S. elections that the Filipinos need to learn, need to adopt, and need to practice in 2022.
Ang masasabi ko dyan talagang, no matter what we say, iba pa rin ang democracy eh. It generates, of course, hindi mo alam kung sino mananalo, and that's the excitement of democracy. So despite the fact, sabi nga ni Churchill, it's the worst form of government, ano pa rin ako sa isang demokrasya. Because people are given a choice.
Okay. Well, Professor Renato De Castro, thank you for your teachings today, for your insights, and I do hope that the outcome is a divine decision and not a decision by people who don't know any better. Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you very much. I wish you the best sa daughter mo.
Yeah, thank you. It's much
Saan siya sa
appreciated.
Netherlands? Nag-aral ako sa Netherlands eh.
She's in The Hague. She's studying in The Hague University.
I studied in Maastricht, sa southern part. That was a long time ago.
Okay, that's the hometown of André Rieu, the musical genius. In any case, thank you very much, Professor.
Next time, I look forward.
Okay.
Please stay safe and healthy.
You too. Okay, yan po si Professor Renato De Castro, and in-explain niya doon sa Amerika, pero medyo interesting nga naman, doon sa kanila, boboto kayong lahat, sige, bumoto kayong lahat. Pero bandang huli, each state, kumbaga dito sa Pilipinas, each province has an elector or a representative. Kung sino yung nanalo dito, may representative at magtitipon-tipon sila sa Malacanang or in the States, dun sa Washington at sasabihin, okay, ito yung majority vote. Pero decision yon ng mga elite, yung mga senador, congressman, yung mga kumbaga merong K. Kasi ang philosophy, according to Professor De Castro, kasi alam nung mga founding fathers ng Amerika na not everybody understands the complexity of governance, of politics, and public service. Kung dadaanin lang nila sa paramihan ng boto, as we do in the Philippines, hindi ka nakakasiguro sa quality. Yes, you have democracy. Yes, you have the people's vote and the people's choice, but the people can ultimately end choosing someone who fooled them or who misrepresented him or herself. So, kumbaga dun sa sistema sa Amerika, meron silang safeguard. Bandang huli, okay, pinili nyo si ganito, mas popular si ganito, mas sikat si ganyan. Kumbaga, pero hindi. Ito yung bandang huli, ito yung mapipili. So, but I don't really understand how. I have to research into that. In any case, yung sa electoral college yan, electors, alam ko yan. Pag-aralan pa natin ng husto. But in the end, okay, sabi nga, ako dito sa Pilipinas, here's my view. In the end, no matter what you say, it is God who makes the divine choice and divine appointment. Okay? You may not like Rodrigo Duterte, you may love Rodrigo Duterte, but given what's happened during COVID-19, I have to confess, I mean, we needed a president who was going to call it, make the decisions as tough as they were, unpopular as they were, and at least we're managing. And that I will give credit to the president. And I believe lahat ng mga naging presidente natin nilagay ni Lord for a particular reason, either to bless us or to punish us. Anyway, let's go for a quick break. And when we return, let's go to another friend of mine, Congressman Ruffy Biazon. Nag-halo-halo na Rufus Rodriguez at Ruffy Biazon. Ruffy Biazon, tungkol dyan sa Visiting Forces Agreement, magtataka kayo, sino to? Ano ba? Typhoon Rolly, ganyan-ganyan. Naku po, pag-usapan na natin yan kasi malaking bagay yan sa defense kasi there are people who are very concerned. Dahil sabi nga ni Professor De Castro, pag nagkakawatak-watak doon sa China, baka biglang meron dong alimango sa utak, makaisip, mag-declare ng giyera kung saan. Mabuti na yung malinaw, sino ba ang kakampi ko at sino ang hindi. We'll go for a quick break here on Agenda. Okay, you're back here on Agenda, and you are watching us via Signal TV channels 8 and 250, as well as facebook.com/OneNewsPH or on YouTube, One News PH. Okay, baka nagtataka kayo, you might be wondering why is Cito and his team, the team Agenda, tackling the VFA or the Visiting Forces Agreement. Well, from what I have read here in the update, the VFA is supposed to be canceled, not canceled, it's supposed to end by December. Okay, it would end in December and can be extended by the Philippines for 6 months. Tayo yung magpapile yata ng request for extension or extension, etc. And ano ba ang ano nito, connection nito dyan sa US election? Tanungin natin yung kaibigan natin and a regular and very informative source for Agenda. We have with us Congressman Ruffy Biazon, representative of Muntinlupa City. Kong Ruffy, good morning to you, sir.
Yes, good morning, Cito, and to your viewers. Good morning, Waswell.
Okay, medyo nabulaga ako. I didn't realize that the Visiting Forces Agreement is supposed to end in December. And I think many Filipinos are wondering what is the real value or benefit of the VFA? Kasi parang I think it was implemented in 1999, 2000, 2020 na. And many ordinary Filipinos feeling na wala naman ako napakinabangan dyan. Congressman.
Yes, una puntahan natin yung pakinabang, kung bakit may importansya sa atin yung VFA. Una yung tulong sa armed forces. The VFA enables the armed forces to have joint trainings, access to military equipment and hardware from the United States. And more important than that actually, or as important as that, is yung tinatawag na humanitarian assistance and disaster response. Yolanda, nung time ng Yolanda, nakatulong yung Amerika dahil sa VFA, no? And the Visiting Forces Agreement and yung accompanying agreements niyan, which gave a legal basis for U.S. troops and equipment to be here inside the Philippines. Yun nga lang, nung sometime February of this year, si President Duterte issued a notice of termination. Sinabi niya officially sa Amerika na ayaw na namin sa VFA. Ngayon, under the terms of the Visiting Forces Agreement, pag nagbigay ng notice yung isang party to the agreement, merong 6 months to wind down before it eventually really closes. No? So kung February yon, supposed to be sometime July, nagtapos na. No? Pero ang ginawa naman ng ating Pangulo sa kasagsagan ng pandemic in June of 2020, nag-issue siya ng suspension of termination. So sinuspend muna yung sinabi niya na termination. And yung suspension na yan, merong period of 6 months, renewable for another 6 months. Which means pagdating ng December 1, 2020, matatapos na yung suspension unless i-extend natin. That's why baka kasi medyo nakaligtaan ng mga kinauukulan, no, na ngayon ay November na, next month mag-expire na yung suspension na yon, the first 6 months. So kinakailangan sana meron ng evaluation and assessment if we will proceed with the termination or we will extend the suspension of the termination. Sana lang nga nasa consciousness na ito kasi understandably lahat tayo naging abala with the pandemic and then kamakailan itong mga bagyo. Baka magkabiglaan na naman pagdating ng December, no? Dahil kahit na yung Estados Unidos, kailangan din nila malaman yan eh. Dahil pagka na-finalize yung sinasabing termination, they would have to pull out their troops, no, and pull out the temporary facilities that they have in the country. Now, ang reminder lang natin dyan sa pag-assess, no, una, recently nakita nga natin nagkaroon ng terrorist attack in Holo. No? Nagkaroon ulit ng bombing doon. And na-identify pa nga yung isang foreign perpetrator. So may mga ganitong consideration, no? Na dapat din natin isa-isip, no? In considering kung itutuloy pa ba natin yung VFA or not. So nanawagan lang tayo, no, as a reminder na there is this important thing that is coming up.
So mali pala yung pag-akala ng tao because I was under the impression, okay, the president was upset and people were saying it was because the State Department canceled the visa of Senator Bato de la Rosa. And then, so he said, oh, cancel na lang yung BFA na yan. And then pumasok si Ambassador Locsin, sabi, and then they were suspending the cancellation, etc. Akala ng marami parang binawi na, kumbaga yung bugso binawi na, so everything back to normal. Kaya dito pala, because it's a treaty, you have to formally say whether you are continuing the suspension of the cancellation. Paano ba dapat? Kunyari, assuming na the president actually says, well, we should just carry on. Tsaka number one, call ba ni Presidente yun or ng Congress at Senado? I was under the impression it's the members of Congress who decides on the life of a treaty.
Well, may school of thought na ganyan, na kasi pag pumasok sa isang treaty ang presidente, kinakailangan ng ratification by the Senate, no? Hindi kasama ang House of Representatives. Yung Senate, yun yung exclusive power ng Senado to ratify treaties.
Okay.
Merong school of thought na sinasabi na para umalis ang presidente doon sa isang treaty, kinakailangan din yan i-ratify ng Senado. But there is also a school of thought na sinasabing hindi kailangan. Kasi sa Constitution naman natin, the Constitution is silent, no, with regard to Senate concurrence or ratification upon exit of a treaty. Walang sinabi ang saligang batas. Pero kung iisipin natin yung legal arguments on it, no, ako, for example, I am of the mindset na hindi kailangan ng Senate. No? Pero yung bagay na yan ngayon ay ang tamang pagkaalala ko, the senators filed a petition at the Supreme Court to make a determination kung kailangan nga ba talaga ng Senate concurrence or ratification in exiting a treaty. So medyo legal question pa siya.
Yeah, but what happened with that petition in the Supreme Court? Because normally, pag may nag-file ng case sa Supreme Court, everything is frozen, di ba? Parang sinasabi, no, you cannot move puwera touch, puwera lynch. Sabi nga nila sa Holland, di ba? Is that the case? Because the case has been filed with the Supreme Court, everything remains?
Ang alam ko rin, wala pang action ang Supreme Court, no, whether to even issue parang an order na put everything in suspension. So as I understand it, nung nag-issue ng suspension of termination yung Philippine government, in effect ulit yung VFA. In fact, last week lang nagkaroon na ng meeting ang Mutual Defense Board. Usually that is the body that makes plans, no, for the joint activities of the Philippines and the United States under the VFA. So as of now, ongoing siya, no, parang sinasabing in effect, in force and in effect ang VFA. Pero yun nga lang, by December 1, yung suspension of termination will expire unless i-extend ulit ng ating pangulo, no? Which would be another 6 months.
Okay.
Siguro
aside from the need to say suspension of termination, kung gusto nilang ipagpatuloy, what other statement do they have to issue? Yung continue with the VFA, I mean.
Well, meron two options dyan. No? One is to serve notice to the United States that we are extending the suspension of termination, or the other is to actually withdraw the termination. No? Yan ang two options na pwedeng pagpilian. Siguro kung gusto natin ng elbow room, an extension of the suspension would be the choice. No?
Mhm.
Given na merong bagong administration or possibly bagong administration na papasok sa Amerika. Dahil nga may election sila by tomorrow, malalaman natin kung si President Trump ay re-elected or dating Vice President Biden will become the new president. Kasi may possibility na magbago ang foreign policy ng United States, no? In both cases. So kung i-extend lang natin yung suspension, then you have the elbow room, no? Na whether to later on push through with the termination, or baka itong period na to na magkaroon ng elections, it would become an opportunity for the Philippines to negotiate for terms that it deems better for itself.
Yeah, well, but by then it would be too late because the elections in the U.S. happens tomorrow. So I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. In any case, thank you very much, Congressman. And bagamat sa tingin ng iba, parang hindi ganun ka sensational na item ito, nonetheless, it is an official treaty of the Philippines that could go left or could go right or could be bad for us. And thank you for calling people's attention, the media and Malacanang. Kasi syempre mahirap naman yung ang dami nating inaasikaso, biglang makaligtaan yung problema na yan na is very beneficial to our national security and our armed forces. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, Cito. God bless.
Okay. Yan po, si Congressman Ruffy Biazon, representative of Muntinlupa City. And baka nagtataka kayo, ayun, nilinaw na niya, no? Kasi nagsalita ka, sinabi mong break na tayo. Pagkatas biglang sabi mong, teka, baka nadulas lang ako. Pero hindi mo sinundan ng at on pa rin tayo o I love you or whatever. Mahirap yung ganyan, di ba? Sabi nga nila mahirap yung bitaw ka ng bitaw ng salita, pagkatapos bandang huli, babawiin mo rin. Okay? Yan po ang nangyayari. That is the case with the VFA, the Visiting Forces Agreement. In case you're one of those people who don't really care or who has a misappreciation, well, I'll give you that, but here's the thing, okay? I witnessed the U.S. military in action in Tacloban during Yolanda. They were there in numbers, full of equipment, radars, trucks, C-130s. The place looked like a little Vietnam, but instead of fighting a war, they were helping the people of Tacloban and of the region. And time and again, we have heard reports, kumbaga, kuminsan nasa sensationalized o nane-negative, in terms of reporting or in social media, what the U.S. government does to assist our military in fighting terrorism. So clearly, the Visiting Forces Agreement is helpful to the Philippines. Clearly, it is beneficial to the Philippines. We just don't see or hear much about it because they don't flaunt it. That is a tradition of the U.S. military, the armed forces of the United States. They don't flaunt it, they don't make a big deal out of it, but they're there, boots on the ground, so to speak, and helping. And, when you start spitting at people who help you or start bad-mouthing countries or groups that help you, I mean, it's being ingrate. Being ingrate is just such a bad character. And whether it's big or small, we need to appreciate whatever people extend to us. I mean, like right now, I am personally very grateful to a lot of you out there who are praying for my daughter, who are praying for us, because, in a situation where our daughter is abroad and we are here, wala po kaming magagawa. We can only pray, comfort her, tell her, palakasin yung loob niya. But every little prayer, every quick prayer, every long prayer, we appreciate so much. And in connection to that topic with the VFA, it's not about military this, military that. It is the service, it is the assistance, it is the help that is extended to us. Kung nagdududa kayo, palagay nyo, saan kaya nang galing lahat ng mga bala na inubos natin dun sa Marawi? Yung mga bala ng kanyon, bala ng mga Barrett rifle, ng mga sniper, yung training ng ating mga snipers, etc. Meron ding kinalaman yung US military sa bagay na yan. So, wag po tayong yung minamaliit natin yung tulong sa atin, okay? Anyway, I don't want to keep rambling. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We hope that somehow you learned from Governor, from Sorsogon Governor Chiz Escudero, from Professor Renato De Castro tungkol dun sa Electoral College at mga elitista sa election sa Amerika na may silbi. And of course, from Ruffy Biazon na nagpapaalala, baka mga may Alzheimer yung mga namamahala dyan sa suspension ng BFA. Nako po, baka magsisi tayo. In any case, thank you for joining us and thank you for your continued prayers for our daughter Hannah. She is asymptomatic and we are managing it. Pero malaking tulong po yung dasal nyo. God bless all of you. Mag-ingat po kayo and please, please appreciate the people around you. Thank you. Have a good day.
Sorry. Because this is my dining table. I had to adjust from time to time if I'm going to eat. So nagugulo siya.
Bumili ka na lang ng standing desk. Diba uso ngayon?
Ito nga, yung dining table ko would work as a standing desk because it's so high.
Oo.